And we are back. Rangers of the Grid, episode 14, the big 1-4.
Big 1-4, man.
We back. I'm excited
Yeah,
about this.
dude.
So,
I'm pretty excited too. Like our last episode was pretty great,
what?
right? We had the
What fun.
Steve Cardenas episode. But then like we went into a lot of like I guess deeper fan stuff, right?
Yeah.
That I felt like needed to get talked about. It's weird like coming out of it, we still I guess dive right in, right? Just we
Yeah.
got I guess some clarity, but not like a ton still, right?
Yeah. Because
What?
ComCon's over. So, find out like franchise is on a sort of hiatus, but then not.
Yeah, I man, it sucks because we won't find out more until I think that September.
Probably like until like Hasbro like PulseCon.
Yeah, in September, and I thought it was. Remember, I told you. I think I messaged you right away that hey, man, like we saw that Power Rangers is on the list.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
So, I mean, that's a good thing. Like, so it's like they still intend to do stuff with it,
Mm-hmm.
obviously. So,
Yeah, I thought, and I was like, that's great. Like
yeah.
to do something. That maybe that's when they like share some things. Maybe they share stuff right then. I don't know.
I have a feeling we'll probably get some sort of news or at least clarification of what's going on.
Oh, you're probably right about that.
Like they'll probably be like, okay, I know everyone's wondering, but like what's going on with the franchise? Well, here's what's going down, and then just lay it all out.
Yeah,
Hopefully,
you're probably right about
like
that.
at least that's what I hope. And from what we saw from Comic Con, it's like, yeah, the show is going to be basically on a hiatus for like after Cosmic Fury. Um, but like they're still doing stuff like that Ranger Academy thing we were talking about yesterday with like
Hmm.
older Jason, Zach, and Kimberly. So that's like something that's happening. Got those other line of Funkos. So it's like there's still some stuff.
Yeah, like isn't that random? Like the other line of Funkos, I thought it was pretty random personally.
Yeah. So there's still
Um,
some stuff. It's just hey, and maybe it's just like the show, and they're just gonna wait until they get this rebooted universe going.
yeah, I guess right. Remember I had told you I was like, okay, like it does look a little different, right?
Yeah.
I was telling you that I was like, hey man, like it looks a little different as far as like the logos. Obviously, the Funkos are different.
Yes.
They have the weapons. They're actually doing keychains of the exact same things too,
Oh, cool.
which I thought was cool. Of course, there's always a little backlash, right?
Of
Because it's Mighty
course.
Morphin, Mighty Morphin.
Not again.
It's just like other fandoms, right? We actually yesterday when we hung
Yeah.
out yesterday, we were talking about Transformers. It's Optimus Prime and Megatron mostly, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they tried with Bumblebee.
And I feel like Bumblebee's still like a top player.
He's probably number three.
Like I'll say this: whenever they make merchandise stuff, always going to be involved. Obviously, the two big ones are Optimus and Megatron, but when it comes to like overall players of who's going to be involved with whatever they do, Bumblebee's always going to be in there.
Yeah, I think he's probably number three right now in all the stuff they do.
Yeah.
Um, it's just like in Pokemon, man. Like you have Pikachu and you have Charizard.
Yeah.
They're really pushing Greninja for a bit. Remember that they're trying. They
They
still are
were.
kind of.
They were.
He's a beast. People like him though. I
And
think
now,
that's why.
sort of like Eevee, in a sense, now has sort of kind of they're trying to push Eevee as that like other mascot. But
What you want to know what's funny is
but
that like my students, the
uh-huh.
girls, some of the boys, but the girls really like Eevee.
Yeah.
They're big fans of Eevee,
I like it. I like
which
it.
is
I think it's cool because the options to evolve it and stuff is cool.
yeah, I thought the same thing, and I was just like, okay, that's cool. Like, it's something that I think they're hitting a different demographic. But
Yeah.
sorry, I got to do my 12 o'clock coffee. I guess random weird, huh?
12 o'clock.
Isn't that weird? So weird. I already had an energy drink this morning when I went to the
Oh,
gym, a Zoa, but I was like, I was still tired, dude. Came home, and that's what you get with Rangers of the Grid, bro. We go up, we go down, we go side to side, we go front to back, and we get it all right. But
whew.
I went to the gym,
Yeah.
right? Had a great workout, burned a lot of calories. I was really happy with it. Come home, oatmeal, flaxseed in my oatmeal, blueberries in my oatmeal, grinning. You know what that is.
Winning. You winning.
Hey, grinning, you winning. Made myself an omelet on the side with it, right? I cracked 2 eggs, mostly egg whites in, with some turkey and cheese and spinach, and man, all these little Easter eggs in there that no one else really knows. This is good.
I know. No one knows. They ain't getting it. They're like, what? What is
Yes, yeah. Get
Oh
that
yeah,
spinach.
that I was getting old like video stuff from wrestling from like my first run at West Coast. And it's funny, you see them in the like audience. You see him over there.
Oh damn! Bet you got a little sentimental.
No, no,
Not with him.
no, not no, but yeah, no. I was like, oh, there they are. I was like, anyway.
But yeah, I was still tired, super tired, and so now I'm getting coffee because I knew we got this episode. You know, all this Ranger stuff going on. But man, the excitement of today. Because by the way, like our social media has been doing well, right?
Very well.
We're trying hard. We're getting a lot of interaction, which is the
Yes.
biggest part I like the most, right? A ton of interaction. Now, be truthful, I'm not the best at responding.
Hmm.
Wish I was better. I really do. Wish I was way better. Um, but not always the best at responding, but it's getting way better. And you know, today I told everybody like we put up polls for like future episodes, right?
Yeah.
Like the ones we'll go back and watch, and then for me, like watch for the first time. Which is
Yeah.
why sometimes I always say like this podcast is really fun because it's like that. Where like I was an OG fan, but now
Yes.
I come back and I have to watch some stuff that I've never seen, right? Because I was out of the game already, and
Mhm.
Marcus has seen it. So this will be a good dynamic. And when we did the poll for a future episode, it was like between three the whole time, right?
Yes.
It's between RPM, Mystic Force, which is the one you chose because you're like, oh, I
Yeah.
think it'd be interesting. And then we picked Jungle Fury, and you're like, oh, that. And I remember you said that had a chance to win.
I did. I did. Like I wanted Mystic Force because it's a fun. It's a fun season. Plus, it has its moments where it gets like, oh dang, like really dark. But I knew like Jungle Fury though was like that is like I told you before. A lot of people feel it's a slept on season. It's a goat season. It's very timely because it was a season affected by the writer's strike of 2006, 2007. So it's like,
Well, and then like the last, I guess Ranger season we put in, there was Megaforce, which everybody crapped on, basically.
yeah,
Right? Almost everybody
I'll put
crapped
it
on
like this: if
Megaforce.
if that were to have won, that would be a season I would have to like watch for like the first time.
Yeah.
But
So
there's
with
some
that,
stuff of that I've seen, but not everything. So
well, we don't have to watch it because it didn't even come close. But those three were so close that we had to rerun another poll. And
yeah,
for a future episode, which I already started watching now, I'm about 3 episodes in. We will be doing Jungle Fury,
great
and
season.
we'll be doing that in a couple parts. But today specifically, I was actually excited about this because this is one you recommended to me for a long
I
time.
have.
I brushed you aside. I was like, okay, man, cool, whatever. You just like him. Truth be told, I was like, Marcus, you like this Red Ranger so much because he's black, bro. Exactly what I said. And
Yep.
then I watched it. Okay, I get why you like him.
Yeah, he's just yeah.
He's awesome.
Like let's be real, automatically gonna like him. Yeah, because he's a black dude. Cool. At the time, he had dreads. I had dreads.
Yeah, you had dreads
When
too,
it first
so it
started.
all
So I
makes
was
sense.
like, oh my God, this is sick. But we talk about like, they talk about now, like, ooh, kids being able to see themselves in a character and stuff on TV. So for me, like back in the day when that was going on, I was like Static Shock, and then Jack from SPD. So I'm like, oh
By the way, real quick, you want to know what's funny about that? When they always say like, "Oh man, like kids to see themselves," and I know we talk about it. Power Rangers is a kids show.
yes,
You are like a kid. You're a teenager.
yeah,
When this is happening, you're a teenager,
yeah.
and
That
you
this
look,
was
and that guy looks just like you. Like, well,
this,
you're bigger,
yeah. Oh
but
yeah, I'm like, no, yeah. This was my. So this was actually was the season when me and you had like kind of first met because it was my freshman year in high school.
yeah, right. Because what, it starts in February, ends in November.
Yeah,
So you know you're from eighth grade to freshman
yeah. It started
during
when I was
this.
in eighth grade. Yeah,
Yeah. So I think it's cool. Like and once you know, we'll get deep into it, but I everything you said about it was 100% correct. Okay. So that's what we're talking about today. We're going all in on SPD. We're not going to harp super deep on just specific characters. We're just going to talk about the show. I might bring up some cool stuff like about some toys, right? We do some toys,
hmm
some video game. We'll talk about that stuff. Might even have to share a screen so we could show like pull up
Oh dang.
those, you know. Um, but yeah, Marcus, let's start talking about it. You know, I thought it was a great premise, right? I've told you this while I was watching it. I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. Like this is it's like a thing that they got really into. I think Power Rangers as a whole is that we're gonna start with three.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think they really like that. They like
that
the
Disney
whole
era was definitely a sort of full blown Disney era. I mean, in like because Wild Force is sort of like this Disney Saban hybrid season.
mhm.
Um, and even then, that was kind of a thing. Like the teams were sort of built; they were
Yeah,
never fully kind of like established off the bat. Like you know, uh, Wild Force was them all about was like they already established team of four, how to get Cole. Ninja Storm was the big shocker, starting with three. Dino Thunder, three again. SPD, these three at first. You know, Mystic Force kind of has that a little bit, and like future seasons going down the line. That's sort of like a thing there in this sort of Disney era, is building the team.
dang. Yeah, I just know like I like it. I like the idea of it. It's pretty cool. And it's different, I think, too, in the way that they did it, where you would assume, based off the first episode, that Sky is going to be the leader.
Yeah,
You know, because it's usually how it works, right? When it's the three,
yeah,
you know, one's red, right? And I like how it was a big deal.
yeah,
Like they already knew Red's leader.
yeah. That's it's a they do a big thing of like concepts here with SPD and like establishing things. Um, yeah, and that's like obviously like color, rankings, like you got the A squad, B squad, all that stuff.
Yeah, and I like it. Right away they basically put the team as an underdog team.
Yeah,
Right away, you're the B squad. You're a backup, right? You're a backup, and I like too that we don't know why A squad's gone right away.
yes,
Like we don't know, you know, why are they still not here? Especially a couple episodes in, right? You still don't know like what happened. Like why is it only B squad still here at this cool place, right? Because their command center is pretty cool. I was like,
yeah.
oh man, this makes so much sense. This should looks like a future command center.
It's like we said, like that Ranger factory. It's like a Ranger factory essentially. Like
Yeah,
a
and that's what they do, right? Like
yeah,
that's what the premise of that place is.
yeah,
It's not like back in the day where you know Zordon would look for teenagers, right?
yes,
Or they'd look for specific people with the qualities. They were just pumping it out. It was like the army, right? Like they
yes.
don't just have
It's
an army. Like
it's
it's
very
just
militaristic.
yeah.
It's very militaristic.
And the way the two ended up joining in is where hey, can we pause this?
Can pause it. Yeah, 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 I think so. Yep.
Cool. And yeah, when the other two joined, Jack and Z, the way it worked was great because like the I guess you called the OG three, right? The original three
Yes.
people that wanted to be Rangers, right? They
Hmm.
saw them as criminals,
Yeah.
where it's almost like every like really good villain in a way, but not, they weren't really the villains, but like they're doing good. They see themselves doing good, and but these people actually were doing good.
Yeah.
They were actually doing good. It's a trip though too, how they were like, dang, these criminal people can fight.
Yeah. Um, I will say this about it. It's like because you saying how like they're being branded as criminals. This kind of goes back to like the original like narration at the beginning of SPD, and I feel like it's something that kind of gets overlooked, but here you have to pay attention to it. They say how yes, aliens have come to live on Earth. New Tech City, which is where it takes place, is like the sort of metropolis that's the main hub where the majority of where it's aliens living amongst humans. That's kind of like the main hub on Earth for that. But they said crime is now down to 99%. Like that's how peaceful it is. So there's a 1%. Now, it's very interesting in that, like, okay, so you're telling me that within about 20 years, because from when it aired to then it was supposed to be set in the year 2025, which we're now 2 years away from.
Wow.
Just crazy to think about. But they're saying crime is basically non existent. And SPD, when you look at it, a lot of the criminals they're going after are these aliens. So it's very interesting that it's almost a sort of like they're the only ones that are the criminals in a sense.
Yeah.
It's very kind of time force ish when you look at it. Like back then, like, well, not back then, but because technically it's future. But anyway, with time force, you have like the mutants were the bad guys. Because remember, they were talking about how, like, in the future, everyone's basically genetically modified. They're meant to be perfect, all that. And the ones that aren't, the people with defect, like Rancic, those were the mutants. They were the outcasts of society.
Yeah.
And it was to a point that they were criminalized. So I think it's kind of telling right now. And then, I mean, I know I'm jumping the shark here with stuff, but it's just like you see that later when Piggy, who is one of my absolute all time favorite sort of like side characters of Rangers, the
Mm-hmm.
guy that lives in the trash, he talks about like when he has his restaurant, he says, you know, like every time they show up, all the aliens run away. And he tells them they're like in Sky, because Sky is that perfect sort of like representative of this like ideology that SPD is always right, you're wrong, and
Yeah.
always looking at all
SPD's
the
everything.
yeah, and looking at the aliens and anybody else that kind of goes against them as like, no, you're wrong, we're right, is when he says like, well, they wouldn't be running away if they're monsters. They shouldn't be running away. And he says something to the effect like that. But Piggy says to them, don't you ever think that to them you're the monsters? And I just think that was something really kind of like, damn, Rangers getting kind of like ideological here with stuff.
Yes, is I think it's pretty interesting just because like the aliens you I don't want to say they're not a part of anything,
Mm-hmm.
right? Cuz like you said, like getting ahead, we see on the A squad that aliens are a part of the team.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's interesting when you see it cuz it's like okay, like it works this way, but you don't really see many other ones. Jack and Z, the way it worked was great cuz like the I guess you called the OG three, right? The original three
Yes.
people that wanted to be Rangers, right? They
Mm-hmm.
saw them as criminals,
Yeah.
where it's almost like every like really good villain in a way, but not, they weren't really the villains, but like they're doing good. They see themselves doing good, and but these people actually were doing good. You know,
Yeah.
they were actually doing good. It's a trip though too, how they were like, dang, these criminal people can fight.
Yeah. Um, I will say this about it. It's like because you saying how like they're being branded as criminals. This kind of goes back to like the original like narration at the beginning of SPD, and I feel like it's something that kind of gets overlooked, but here you have to pay attention to it. They say how yes, aliens have come to live on Earth. New Tech City, which is where it takes place, is like the sort of metropolis that's the main hub where the majority of where it's aliens living amongst humans. That's kind of like the main hub on Earth for that. But they said crime is now down to 99%. Like that's how peaceful it is. So there's a 1%. Now, it's very interesting in that, like, okay, so you're telling me that within about 20 years, because from when it aired to then it was supposed to be set in the year 2025, which we're now 2 years away from.
Wow.
Just crazy to think about. But they're saying crime is basically non-existent. And SPD, when you look at it, a lot of the criminals they're going after are these aliens. So it's very interesting that it's almost a sort of like they're the only ones that are the criminals in a sense.
Yeah.
It's very kind of time force ish when you look at it. Like back then, like, well, not back then, but because technically it's future. But anyway, with time force, you have like the mutants were the bad guys. Because remember, they're talking about how, like, in the future, everyone's basically genetically modified, they're meant to be perfect, all that. And the ones that aren't, the people with defect, like Rancic, those were the mutants, they were the outcasts of society.
Yeah.
And it was to a point that they were criminalized. So I think it's kind of telling right now. And then, I mean, I know I'm jumping the shark here with stuff, but it's just like you see that later when Piggy, who is one of my absolute all time favorite sort of like side characters of Rangers, the
Mm-hmm.
guy that lived in the trash, he talks about like when he has his restaurant, he says, you know, like every time they show up, all the aliens run away. And he tells them they're like in Sky, because Sky is that perfect sort of like representative of this like ideology that SPD's always right, you're wrong, and
Yeah.
always looking at all
SPD's
the
everything.
yeah, and looking at the aliens and anybody else that kind of goes against them as like, no, you're wrong, we're right, is when he says like, well, they wouldn't be running away if they're monsters. They shouldn't be running away. And he says something to the effect like that. But Piggy says to them, don't you ever think that to them you're the monsters? And I just think that was something really kind of like, damn, Rangers getting kind of like ideological here with stuff.
Yes, is I think it's pretty interesting just because like the aliens you I don't want to say they're not a part of anything,
Mhm.
right? Cuz like you said, like getting ahead, we see on the A squad that aliens are a part of the team.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's interesting when you see it cuz it's like okay, like it works this way, but you don't really see many other ones doing anything.
Yeah. And it's like you see the people like who are running SPD. Uh, Doggy Kruger, he's an
Yeah.
alien. But then you find out though, but and then like you have then like Birdie, the Pelican dude. Later, that was his like commander.
Oh, not a fan by the way.
Oh no, no, no. He's such a jerk. Yeah,
I was
he was.
gonna say, cat is an alien, right? Like
Yeah,
she's a cat.
alien. But what's interesting though is that it's like we know from the backstory of it, they're fighting this Emperor Grump. By the way, one of the best villains ever in Rangers too. Like he's just freaking amazing. But he, but like Kruger's with SPD because Grum was fighting against them. So it's almost like a, and then like fast forward to now we have Once and Always, and we saw SPA, Space Patrol Alpha, getting established. So we know that's the precursor to SPD. And they're in the middle of that war right there. They're helping the, you know, they're at Anubis helping fight against the Trubian Empire. So it's almost like a, yeah, you're an alien, but you're with us because we're helping you, or like we helped you in a sense.
Mm. Hmm. No, you're right. Yeah, like to me it's kind of interesting just because there's some like cool. I don't know, like you said, like that ideology stuff is interesting. You're funny because you always go so deep when it comes to Power Rangers.
Yeah,
You know, you make me laugh when it comes to that stuff.
I mean, because let's be real, because sometimes, yeah, sometimes a show is just a show, but other times it's like they sneak stuff in. But that's also the English major in me. We're meant to read between the lines and
I
interpret.
yeah, and you know what's funny though? Those aliens though, they do prove like a lot of the time the SPD people are right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like 95% of the time they're right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Oh boy, straight up turned them in. You know, like come on. At the end, Piggy gave him up.
He did.
He did, and whether he did that good deed before, they wouldn't have been in that predicament if he didn't do that.
Yeah. But um, but back to Zach,
Such a funny name, by the way.
right?
Yeah, like he's a great character, though. You're
He
right.
he is. He
Yeah,
is.
he's funny.
Hmm.
What were you saying? Back to what?
But back to Z and Jack and them joining.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think um it's funny how Jack coming in to the team, he's that guy that's just like Z looks at it like, fine, I want to do something. She wants to do more, and this is her opportunity to do that with SPD. But Jack is looking at like this is a job.
Mm-hmm.
It's either this or prison.
Yeah,
So
and you catch on to that later,
yeah,
like that's still in his head.
and
That's still his thing throughout the whole time, pretty much. Like he never let that go. Like not even as far as like this is just prison. This isn't like you said. Like I don't even know prison, but like this isn't what I'm meant to do.
yeah, it's
Like
like
this is really it for
he's
me.
doing it for the time being because he has.
Yeah.
But
And
and some
it's
people may look at that as like that's not so great. Like he's just kind of going through the motions, but he takes that with him to the point of like, I have to complete this mission.
yeah,
Like there's that part where I remember when he had to take the SWAT flyers up into space, and then Sky went with him, and they're like, Jack, you can't do this. He's like, no, I have to. We have to get this done. So to me, that puts him, even though he's like, yeah, this isn't my thing. This isn't what I really want to do. But because I'm in it right now, I'm still going to give it my all once he fully came around.
yeah. Like he gave us all the entire time. I think it was smart how they a lot of times would have Sky and Jack do stuff together.
Yeah.
And I think it's because the balance was there where like Jack showed a lot of leadership qualities, obviously, that maybe Sky didn't.
Hmm.
But Sky made up for some things Jack couldn't, especially when it came, I guess you'd say like combat, right? Like, you know,
Yeah.
Jack was very honest about like Sky, you can handle it by yourself.
Hmm.
You know, like what I sent you there because I trust you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's very I keep using references of other franchises just to get like people to understand maybe that might not have seen this season, right? Very Leonardo Raphael from Ninja Turtles.
Yes. Yes.
Like that's what I kept thinking with these two the entire time. A lot is
Hmm.
Raphael, always everyone's like he's the best fighter. He's the
Hmm.
best. He's the best one. But Leo's the leader and has the katana swords, right?
Yeah.
Because the blades, because like Splinter knows he won't use them like that, like you could,
Yeah.
whereas Raphael would,
Hmm.
kill people, right?
Especially when you look at the weapons too, like, yeah, size. That's a defensive. Those are
Mm-hmm.
defensive weapons.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, and especially if you look at the colors, red and blue. I mean, that's a very great analogy for them.
Yeah, so they're very similar to me in that aspect, especially throughout, right?
Yeah.
Throughout it, um, Sky will sometimes question Jack's leadership, like her decisions.
Hmm.
Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Um, there was just a lot of cool little stories within it. One story I thought was interesting too is when, like, because remember I told you I forget, right, until I rewatch a lot of Power Ranger stuff,
Hmm.
that some episodes are meant for the person.
Yeah.
They're meant to show more of their character,
Yes.
right? So when it was Sid's birthday and Jack was making her do stuff,
Hmm.
it was very fun to see, like you said, they bring up some like real stuff,
Yeah.
because that's very, truth be told, that's normal, where like some person, they do stuff for their birthday, or they've
Yeah.
always had stuff for their birthday, or they've been really lucky, they've been really privileged to have their parents pay for it or have the money to, or do all this stuff, or so it's a huge deal, even though she's like, I don't want to say they're teenagers, right? They're like late teens, early 20s. They don't look like
No,
teenagers.
they can't be teenagers. They have to be they're at least like they're like in their 20s.
Yeah, they at least 18, right? Because I assume it's an army types thing.
Yeah.
None of them are in real school. Um, so like, and you could tell one of them, Jack, obviously from the beginning, didn't seem like he had a lot of help.
Yeah.
So he didn't really think birthday thing was a big deal, and then you find out why.
Hmm.
He don't even know his birthday.
Yeah.
So like, it makes so much sense to where like they both felt bad for what they were doing.
And see that episode, it was really like SPD was really good at highlighting their Rangers, except for Sid. And the reason why I say that is because that was maybe, I think, kind of the only that one, and then the episode with Rick when she was all like, annoyed by him, but then like got mad when they like disassembled him, she put them back together. That was kind of like the only shine she ever really got in this season.
No, you're right. Like I've thought of that too. Where, and I think I bring it up because of that, because she's the least showcased.
And it sucks because it's like, one, she's the first Pink Ranger in like a minute.
Yeah,
Like since Jen in Time Force. She's the you know, Wild Force was a White Ranger. Ninja Storm, no pink. Ion Thunder, no pink. So you got like 3, 4 years with no Pink Ranger. Now we finally get one, which is cool, but like all the characters sort of got fleshed out and you knew who they were. Like, but Sid was sort of just kind of there. Like she didn't get much shine. And it's like that was such a missed opportunity, I feel like, because it's like if she was this sort of privileged, prissy girl, how did she end up at SPD?
yeah.
Why did she choose to go that route? Because I know you haven't finished RPM, but her character is very similar to the Yellow Ranger there.
Well,
Summer
let's
Wayne.
not get too deep in RPM, because eventually we're gonna get there.
No, no, I'm not gonna get into it, but I'm just saying like the characters, like their characters are very similar. They're that like prissy, privileged girl, but you see how Summer got to be where she was, and with Sid, you don't. She's just like, we don't understand. Like, well, if you were so, why did you choose to go to SPD? Why did you choose to
And
join?
that would have been fun to see.
Exactly. That
Like,
would have been a fun
why?
thing to explore because, yeah, we get later on, and we'll just jump ahead here. We all find out later that their parents were all part of the original, like, founding of SPD. They're working on stuff. And because of those experiments, that's how they had the abilities that they had, like their non-ranger powers.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so that being said, it's kind of weird, and this is always kind of weird to me about SPD. It's like if these are these sort of prodigal prophesied, they were bound to return back to SPD. But it's like, but did they always have like? Obviously, they have a choice in joining it, but it's like that was a missed opportunity too. So it's like where they lit because Sky felt like he was meant for that. Like he knew he was fully meant, and like basically it was his calling in life to be the red SPD Ranger. And then we come to find out, like, well, technically, this is for all of you guys. They were all sort of meant to eventually become that. So I think going into that whole thing, that would have been a really interesting thing.
Yeah, just giving her something else. Like, I don't know. She didn't get a lot of play. Like, you're right. Like, of every single Ranger, most honestly, characters that were supposed to be main, she's probably at the bottom.
Yeah,
Like, Cat got more than her.
Cat got more play than her. Boom, Boom
Yeah,
got
he
more
got
play than
more. Yeah, you're right.
so
Like, looking back, she was really like undervalued.
yeah, she
I
was
would
just like
say,
there.
in a business sense, she was really undervalued, and it's kind of sad because they do more. Cat is the main female focus. I feel like if they have a female focus, she has more female focus than anyone.
Yeah, yeah,
Like she has more female focus than any of the Ranger girls.
yeah. I definitely see that.
Like the others are background characters. I feel like throughout,
Yeah,
which is crazy because like I don't know. I thought they were both cool. Like I don't know. They both had great, compelling things. Like you said, like but the Power Ranger seasons happen that way. I
yeah,
think like even if you look back from the beginning ones, you know, in a way there was always a female character kind of left out.
yes.
Didn't have a ton to do. Kimberly had her storyline with Tommy.
Hmm.
So as long as Tommy was there and she was there, that stuff was going to continue.
Yeah,
Once that stopped, I feel like there wasn't a ton. They tried to get that going back with Andros and
Ashley.
oh yeah, Ashley. They tried to get that. You could tell a little bit going back with that. But truth be told, not like in like a love relationship way, but a different relationship way. Astronema and Andros was the real like
Yeah,
relationship, but not like a love
Astronomo
type way.
was. It's interesting. She was the main focus, like female character, and she's the villain.
Mm-hmm. And then so I guess it's not surprising that they weren't putting a ton of emphasis on the females. Cause like yeah, like we said, like Kat, if we have to pick one, she was probably the one that got the most focus. But it
Yeah,
still wasn't a lot.
no,
Like we even said back when we covered Time Force,
yeah,
Jen was probably the real leader. She lost being the main character
hmm,
at one point in the show because they went with the other route. And even in the toys that reflected that, right?
yeah,
And it's that's interesting to me that even in '05, 12 years later, they still weren't worried so much about that.
yeah.
And it took more time, I guess, just to grow. What'd you think of Kruger?
He's a goat.
He's up there, bro.
Cougar's a goat. Like out of honestly, to me, out of like Ranger mentors, he's to me
Oh, he's probably the best, right?
like the best. Like the only one that I think is like the like above him, or at least on his level, is Tommy in Dino Thunder. Because to me, Tommy in Dino Thunder, that's perfect Tommy. He's experienced. He has like that full, like he's matured. He's fully got that kind of like leader sense. Like remember how we were talking about like, yeah, Jason already naturally had that leader role in him. Tommy just kind of got
Oh,
because
you
he was
mean Tommy
popular.
finally got it?
Yeah, this was like Tommy finally actualizing that leadership like capacity, and he's running stuff. Let's be real. He was the leader of that team, but he was able to let Connor do things, you know,
Yeah.
and that's always a good sign of a leader. Like, hey, I'm gonna tell you like what we need to do. Let's do this. But when you're out there, that's you.
How'd you feel about that crossover in SP this season of SPD?
Did you watch both of them?
What do you mean?
So they had two. There was Worm. There was which was the first one? At the like reunion with Dino
Oh, the Dino.
when they go to their high school reunion. Why can I not think of that? There was that one, and then this like episode. It technically didn't air originally. It was like released later, and it was called Wormhole. And that was when you got like more of the team, like the full teams, like together, like the full Dino Thunder team.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I watched
Tommy,
Wormhole
yeah, that was
for
Worm.
sure.
There was another one. So the original one that aired, and it's funny, I'll always remember this because when it aired, it was on my birthday.
Oh, the history one.
History, yes, yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
I watched that.
Yeah, I
Yeah, I
like
watched
that.
that.
I really liked it because it was kind of cool because it's like, oh, like they're coming, like Dino Thunder's come back. It was just weird, like it's funny, like, oh, you guys are coming back just 1 year reunion already. It's like, and then here we are, like none of our class high school reunions have ever happened.
Oh yeah.
But but I thought it was cool because you got to see the setup for stuff, and you could. I don't know if you noticed this or if you caught it, but when Broodwing said he got the Dino gems, he got them from the planet Onyx. Does that
Oh,
sound familiar to you at all?
Onyx, and I ain't talking Pokemon.
No. So obviously it sounds like if you okay, Dino gems, precious metal rocks and all that. Yeah. Okay. Maybe it's just the planet works. But this was a great chance at them starting to kind of expand stuff. But Planet Onyx, that goes back to in space. That was remember that like it looked very like like old west, like wild west shit. Like and that's where Astronomo was hiding out. That's where Andros all them.
Yeah.
That's where all the villains would like hang out.
Uh
That
huh.
planet Onyx. And then even again with in Lost Galaxy, when I remember Corona was helping them get back their quasar sabers.
Yeah.
That was so that's that planet Onyx. So it's kind of like right here you kind of see a glimpse of them throwing these sort of like references and nods to other Rangers, past Ranger history stuff in there, which was cool. Um, I liked it because I just feel like those three seasons or this whole sort of like Ninja Storm and the Dino Thunder team up, Thunderstorm, to me one of the best team ups of all time. And then this SPD ones, I like that each one was different. Like they're completely disconnected, but they still make it happen. You know, uh, like they're their own standalone things. It's like, hey, we're able to do. Uh, it wasn't a two-parter like sometimes we would see happen. It was like a very self-contained episode, and I thought each one, and it's great. Like because they're
Didn't they
different.
look younger to you?
Who's Dino Thunder team?
Yeah.
Um,
They looked younger than their season to me. Like Connor looked way younger, or I
I
don't
think
know if
because
they
they cut
put
his hair,
makeup on. Okay, probably why. Like they look. I was just like,
because Connor's hair was
there's
cut.
something different.
So here's a little backtrack of that. It's funny because I used to always like Connor McKnight in Dino Thunder. He reveals that he has a twin brother who went to the Wind Ninja Academy and was a student there because the actor James Napier played a character in that showed up at the finale of Dino Thunder. Not Dino Thunder, Ninja Storm. And that character, and you kind of see like the setup, like, oh, him and his two friends, they're sort of going to become like the successors of the Wind Ninja Rangers. And then now you have the same character or the same actor playing a new character in the show, and he's like, oh, well, that's my twin brother. And then like he had that hair, like short cut hair, and that because it made him look younger. Whereas Connor, like throughout the season, his hair grows out like different lengths and stuff throughout the season.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But he looked younger. That's why I
Yeah,
was like, man,
he
they
looked
look
kind of
way. He
younger
looked
there.
young.
Ethan had his hair all like lined up and everything, had that going, So
They look, dude, and compared to the SPD team, Like they look like as if their age was, and it was supposed to be, right? Supposed to be
Well, yeah, because
younger.
think about it. We're only a year past their high school graduation. So they're, let's say, 17, 18, around that age when they graduate.
Yeah.
So right here, they're still only 18, 19 years old compared to SPD, who's a couple years, like we said, they're probably like early 20s.
Man, I'm really interested to like what who was watching SPD because I think it's like not as kiddie as you would think.
Oh no, it's not.
Like I don't know, it's just interesting to me. When I think about it, I'm like, they don't say their age on purpose, right? But
Yeah.
man, I don't know.
I
It's just
think that
funny.
kind of started with the whole, like, we kind of saw that with beginning with In Space, because remember at the beginning of In Space they were still going back to Earth and like dealing with like high school stuff, but then all of a sudden, like halfway through the season, it's like, let's just push school and that whole like teenage stuff aside. And then starting with Lost Galaxy, you really kind of saw, like, I guess you could say, like the career rangers, in a
Hmm.
sense. Like, these are young adults that have a certain skill set or whatever, and that's why they're being chosen for this stuff. And that was sort of like a thing for a while with Rangers. But yeah, you're right. With It wasn't until like Ninja Storm they were sort of alluded to being still teenagers in that. Like, they were still in high school, but then of course that kind of got dropped again. And then it wasn't until Dino Thunder that was like, these are full blown teenagers. But then SPD, yeah, it was definitely back to that sort of career style of like, they're made for this in a sense.
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I was just curious because it's just like I don't know, it wasn't as kiddie as you would think,
no,
right?
yeah.
Like it wasn't as like kid like as you would think. Let's see. Let's talk about Omega Ranger.
Eh,
Let's talk about that. What are your feelings about that?
I feel like he was wasted. There was so much wasted potential and story, and just the whole Orb of Light thing. Like, really, dude? Like, you couldn't just get an actor for that guy? Like, really?
Man, Marcus, I thought it was gonna be more.
Yeah,
I did. I thought he was gonna be more, man, and I think I thought he was gonna be more because, like, bro, he looks sick.
yeah. Like, okay, so here's when I get into like my whole like, so many missed opportunities here. So with Deca Ranger, the Sentai origin of SPD, dude. So you have the original five. You got Kruger as Shadow Ranger. Kat is a ranger, not just like the one time episode we got here. Like, she's on and off as a ranger. You got Omega Ranger, and then you got Deca Ranger that showed up. Like, she was like the female version of him that showed up from the future later on. Like, at that final battle, like all of a sudden she's like, "Oh, we've been searching the whole time stream for you." Really? Like, so you got like 9 rangers in there, and yeah, I don't know, dude. I was let down with him as a. It's odd. I don't really see. I know he's meant as to be the sixth ranger, but I don't really see him. I count Kruger as more of the sixth ranger to that team than Omega Ranger.
um, I think honestly, as the season went on, I definitely picked Omega as the sixth ranger. I feel like Kruger was the we're not gonna win, so we need you.
Yeah,
Like I don't know. I just feel like he was the we're not gonna win, so
he
we
was
need
their
you.
like nuclear option.
He was like their trump card, right?
Yeah.
Like we said, like how often it felt like Tommy was a trump card,
Yes.
right? When he was especially the White Ranger.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like he was the trump card for them, especially because he's their mentor, right? Like
Yeah.
he's not he's technically not supposed to be helping them, right?
Yeah,
Like,
well,
there's
we see that a lot in the episode Katana.
yeah.
When they go to Japan and Jack is like, dude, give me the Shadow Saber, which, by the way, one of my favorite weapons because it's so sick.
Do
It
you
looks so
have
sick.
it? Did they ever make it?
They made a small version, like a foam one,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's that one I had found that I had for like a minute, and it was like a kind of hard plastic one, but that is something. Hey, Hasbro, get on that, make
Well,
them.
I mean, Marcus, you over here being like, come on, man. We just, hey, how about you just make Power Ranger stuff?
Yes,
Huh? How
like,
about that? You know,
hey,
just
just
stuff, huh?
come on, man, just make a Quasar Saber from Lost Galaxy, make that, make Brachio Sap, make all this. But yeah,
Hey,
anyway,
man, how about you guys just continue making figures?
yeah,
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
they should
hey,
just
hey,
do
man.
they should just do teams. Honestly, they should just do the teams. I know they do the whole random thing. No, just do teams. Just do teams.
You know, hey, man. Can we just make figures in general?
Yeah,
You know, like, um, that'd be nice,
that
right? That'd
that
be
would.
really cool. They have just figures in general.
Yeah, but yeah, but no, but back to the point though, like agreeing with you, like yeah, he was their trump card because when we see Jack facing Kitana, the alien samurai dude, he thinks he has a shadow saber, but then Kruger is like, nope, that's just a regular ass sword.
Yeah, I mean, like that's what I mean. He's not supposed to be like in battle all the time.
Yeah,
He's really not. I did like his like the rivalry with Grum.
yes.
Like that was fun. Like you could tell there was like a history there, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's what you got from their characters. That this was deep. This ran deep. I kind of wish, and I guess the comics took it further, but and we couldn't because Zordon wasn't a person, so him and Zed couldn't really have that.
Yeah.
But in the comics they went deeper on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where like this at least got to play out on screen per se, and I liked it. I liked their dynamic with each other. And I like that he didn't really care about like having battle with any of the other Rangers.
No, that was the cool thing about Grum. He was like looking back. I remember the last time I rewatched it, I was paying attention, and I'm like, one, he doesn't really care about like the individual battle stuff,
Mm-hmm.
like because he was looking at the overall picture of things, and which turned out to be like that set. I think the penultimate episode, it's revealed there's that massive eye in that brain thing, which turned out to be Omni, which was this like deity thing he's been worshiping this whole time. And that's what he's been building the body for in a sense.
Mm.
Like to me, I'm like, oh, okay. Like that was just hecka random. How that came to it seemed very random to me. But throughout the season, I'm like, oh, okay, it's kind of I see it and it sort of makes sense. But yeah, he was real to me, Grum's a great villain, especially like he had Kruger's wife the whole time.
Bro, and it makes so much sense why like there was a deep, like you could almost tell a hatred between the two.
Yeah.
you know um I thought that was really interesting. What'd you think of the finale?
The finale, I liked it. Like especially like everything leading up to it. Like I like how they had the battle with A Squad and the whole reveal with that they had been working with Grum the whole time. Um,
Yeah, because it was super weird, right? Like
mhm.
I even was like, oh man, look at these guys coming back.
Yeah, but when you look at it, it was interesting because like, dude, they laid the seats for that back in the very I think what first or second episode when they're marching by, like they're trotting through the command center, and then they take the B Squad takes a step back when it was only the original
Mm-hmm.
three, and uh, homeboy Mr. Buttery Toast Ridge does his little hand wave orrery, and he's like, something seems off about them,
Yeah,
and
and then he felt it again.
yeah, and it was interesting because like SPD kind of plays the long game, if you notice. they do that sort of long, like that long booking style of like, hey, we're built laying stuff here. You're gonna notice it. Like this is a callback to this, and they're constantly going back, and it's like, oh, okay, this is where this has been going all along. So I like that they finally got that respect of like B Squad got that respect of like they finally beat them down, you know, the A Squad, beat them down, captured them, but then the ultimate thing of them, like that final battle with Kruger and uh, Grum, that was just sick to me.
No, yeah, I liked it a lot. Like I said, like we kind of said, like you had saw him as the third ranger. I kind of just saw him as the trump card, and like
Yeah,
but like to me, he did some like real mentor stuff like that, where it's like, nah, this is my battle.
yeah,
Like this is my fight. I like that a lot. And it was good. Like I'm glad like they ended up having the A squad versus B squad battle. Like
mm-hmm.
this is what it's come down to, which makes super sense, right?
Yeah,
It makes all the sense in the world. Let's see. Let's talk about, you're an eighth grader, freshman during
mm-hmm.
this time. I was already done watching Rangers at this time. So I didn't really get into anything outside of like, obviously, I didn't even watch the show. So I wasn't in anything.
Mm-hmm.
Did you collect any of this stuff beforehand, like before being
Yeah.
an adult?
Um, I remember I still have them. I bought like the action figures of Red Ranger, Blue Ranger. I bought the Morphers, and then that was it. Like I bought the like the regular SPD Morpher and then the Shadow Rangers Morpher because I was just all black with the gold. I was like, that's dope. So I had bought those. I always wanted the Omega Rangers Morpher because I thought it was cool. Because I always like the wrist morphers. I like wrist morphers better than like cell phony type ones.
Oh, you didn't like the cell phone?
I'm not a big fan of the cell phone morphers.
Why, dude? They were just before Drake was like singing Hotline Bling. You know what I mean?
I
Let me see. I'm gonna do a real quick screen share for those watching. Oh, you disabled it.
Oh,
You
did
just
I?
Yeah, man. You're not letting me screen share for the fans, bro.
Oh man, my bad.
FTF.
Let me see if I can change this.
Oh man, if you can, it's okay. We can just describe them verbally,
Let's see.
but we'll see if he can.
Let's see.
Did you change it?
I'm trying to. I think I did it, but
Let's find out. No, it's okay. We'll do it next time.
okay.
You know, I think you'd have to go in like your settings or something.
Yeah, I just did.
But did you?
I did.
Oh, it's okay. All right, that's fine. Let's see. Yeah, it's not working. That's cool. I did see though, like I'm looking at the images right now of Shadow Rangers Morpher. I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking at the Omega Ranger Morpher. Um, I'll say I like wrist morphers, but I don't think his looks that cool.
Yeah.
The toy, at least, it doesn't look as cool. It looks very, I guess, like toyish.
Yeah.
I
Well,
guess that's a
then
word.
I kind of wanted, like, I thought it was cool, but I liked when they did it for the Battleizer because really the Battleizer Morpher was just that but painted red.
Now I'm gonna put you on game here, maybe, which will
Uh,
be fun. Shadow Saber, I see the foam one,
yeah.
and then I also see the hard plastic one with the lights and sounds. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know they had that. I thought they just had the foam one.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know about the lights and sound one until later. I mean, and that's the one I had. But the interesting thing about that one though is like the lights and it's not like a big like it's just like the mouth on like the say from the dog's head like opens.
Yeah, I'm looking at the picture.
Yeah, you can get the little ching, like the little sound like that, and then there was some light on it, but not real. It wasn't really noticeable.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. Like like honestly, they put out a lot of figures for this season.
Yeah,
Like
especially
there's
when
like 55 at least right here, dude.
oh wait, I forgot. I also had the it never happened in this show, but you remember how they had the swap mode?
Mm-hmm.
Um, they came out with a SWAT version of Omega Ranger. I remember my mom got that for me, and it
Yeah.
talks like
Oh
has like
yeah,
a little
I see you
voice
right
in it.
here. I'm looking at it.
Yeah, I remember my mom
Man, if
randomly.
I had screen share, it'd be sick. It's all good. You should have got the Omega Ranger roleplay pack.
It's okay.
You weren't into that stuff as a kid?
No, I
Dude, they
just
don't even look like Omega Ranger stuff though. It looks like Kruger's, but they call it Omega Ranger SPD roleplay pack.
hmm,
Interesting. You know what I mean? By the way, like when they do these, like I'm noticing another trend. When they do a lot of 2 packs, they don't like have the girls.
yeah, yeah,
Interesting. Speaking of now, like they basically have released now the entire group for a Lightning collection.
yeah, in a sense.
Well, Omega,
Hmm.
the Five, and Shadow, and then Squad A.
Yeah, they could
So
do
that's the
cat.
whole. Huh?
They could do cat.
Yeah, but like technically, like they already did it. They got everybody.
Yeah,
You know, which are some of the cooler figures and actually more expensive. Shadow Ranger, Omega Ranger, and the Red Ranger all go for at least 16 above.
yeah.
Omega Ranger because it was an Amazon exclusive, which like I think we've talked about before outside of this, dude. It was on there forever to
It
buy,
was.
and
Yeah.
now it's gone and it's way more expensive.
Yep.
It's just like Shadow Ranger. Remember how many we used to see
Yes.
out and about? He was the
Hmm.
first because wasn't he in Series One?
He was. It was him, Tommy as a White Ranger, Magna Defender, and then who was in that other one? Oh, Lord Zed.
Yeah, Lord Zed.
Yeah, yeah, he went all the way back then.
Wave one is yeah, well not Magna, but the Red Ranger from is it Dino Fury? Dino Charge.
Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. That's right, Dino Charge.
Yeah, because remember that's what was around, I guess, or like
Yeah, because
I
that
don't
was
know.
like
You know
current.
how?
I think.
Yeah, he was a peg warmer. He was the peg warmer.
Yeah.
And then Shadow was too. And I remember I used to joke with you because you're like, dude, this guy's so sick.
Mm-hmm. You're like, yeah,
I
so
was
sick.
like,
Why
oh,
ain't he selling?
yeah. They say that. We're like, I want this dumb dog.
You know, I am a
Well,
dog
now,
food,
now we want the dumb dog.
right?
He's beast, bro. He's
He,
awesome. They only did one video game for this season. It came out Game Boy Advance. I think I downloaded it for my Steam Deck. I haven't played it though.
I'll tell you this. They also did a Jack specific game, like the little like you just plug into the outlets.
Uh huh.
Like they had one of those, and I had that, and it was like the Red Rangers, like the whole control thing. It looked like the Red Ranger's helmet, and it had like, and it was actually, dude, like it's a pretty fun game because you'd have to do like missions as like the red. Of course, like I think it was only like the five, but it was like, and then it like you complete each mission or whatever, and then it like lead. You would really fully wouldn't finish it unless like you beat the monster as like the Megazord.
Really?
Yeah,
That's pretty sick.
it was. I don't know if I still have it. I think I do. I'm not sure. But
That'd be kind of cool to see. Let's see. Let's check it out. Kruger is in battle for the grid.
mhm.
That's kind of cool. Cat is actually in battle for the grid.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I think I think those are the only ones so far that they've released for that. Um Let's talk about, as we're wrapping this up. Let's talk about like who you would like to see return, and I'm curious why Jack isn't around.
What do you mean?
He's not in, like, he hasn't returned like into anything more recent, and I feel
Yeah.
like because of the
Um,
character, he wouldn't.
well, I'll put it to you like this. I know that when they did the once a Ranger, always a Ranger, the 15th anniversary special,
Mm-hmm.
where Adam is the leader as the Black Ranger, and they had like the other four previous seasons before that, like a Ranger from each one that read SPD Ranger in there. And it's Bridge. It's not Sky. It's not Jack. It's Bridge. And Bridge
Mm-hmm.
gives the explanation why it's him. He says, well, I was like, our commander was a dog, and his commander was a pelican who retired. So Kruger elevated to that level, and Sky elevated to Kruger's level. So I got promoted to Red Ranger. So that explains why he was the one for that. But I know that, and uh, he said this, the actor Brandon J. McLaren, who plays Jack. And I've mentioned this before. In real life, he was dating Emma Lahana, who played Kira, the Yellow Dino Thunder Ranger. They were dating for a while, and then they broke up, and she got brought back for that special because she was the Yellow Ranger in that. And they offered it to him, but he was like, I don't really want to be around her right now. I don't want to do that. So he didn't. And then so he didn't come back for that. And I saw some stuff on Twitter, like, and I never know, like, obviously, like, if it's like, because he'll like retweet it and stuff, but it's like people talking about like his Red Ranger, like, oh, Jack was the best, these other people suck, or like screw Power Rangers and all this stuff, or we're just anything with him, like, he always like retweets it. I'm like, hey, goes back to the whole like any press is good press type thing, but I don't know, dude. Like, I would like for him to come back. I have a sick idea for a story that would bring him back as a Ranger to SPD. Um, it's actually something I do want to develop in the upcoming years. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, honestly, character wise, it makes sense why he's not back.
It does
Like, why would the guy be back that didn't want to do it?
exactly like he's.
You
But
know,
in my idea of a story, so I'll just here's my pitch for a story to get him back.
well, like, and this is tough because, bro, like, they're not bringing SPD back right now.
no, they're not. But I mean, of course they're not. But right now we have an opportunity within the franchise to see like at least the origins of that.
Maybe, but look, bro. Like, we can get into this now. I liked SPD a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of the better seasons for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, based off of a viewership perspective, I don't know who will tune in as much
Oh yeah,
for a strictly all SPD.
I feel like it would be that's like a hardcore fan.
That's yeah. Like, to be honest with you, it's like this podcast. We're a niche. We're a niche within a
Mm-hmm.
niche, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if you're tuning into this, you must like Power Rangers,
Yeah,
right? You tune into SPD, you must really like Power Rangers. You must be a fan, like a fan of, especially of that season too. Like, which, by the way, like, I'll say right now, like, it's my top five for sure.
mm-hmm.
And then, like, I'd have to think about, like, okay, like, and it's weird because, truth be told, some of those other ones in the top five are there for nostalgia.
Yeah,
Like, if I want to get down to the nitty gritty, right?
yeah,
They're there for nostalgia. Like, this right here to me is like on like a fun in space level.
yeah,
And in space, watching is my favorite. Like, watch, my favorite by far, right? And this is reaching there, so that's telling you I do like it a lot. I just don't know how many people would like tune in to a strictly like that. I think them being a part of like another, I guess, like, everyone gets together.
yeah. Well, and that's what I was saying um, with once and always. they mention a lot of other Ranger teams in the greater universe. Like obviously, like Billy's going back up into space. He's like, "Oh, I'm going to Miranor. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there." You have Adam and Aisha that are building SPD, SPA. But it's like, I think if we were to ever see anything like that, and I know, ooh, here you get the fandom that's sick of like, why it's always got to be Mighty Morphin? Because they're the center of the universe. And if you do see them, because dude, SPD, I know we haven't talked about it, but like, I don't think you've ever read it, but that the Old Man Tommy story, Soul of the Dragon, SPD plays a major part in that. But like I said, it's involving Mighty Morphin again. So I think a lot of these hardcore seasons that really niche fans love and that are like this, you're gonna have to tie it into like Mighty Morphin and get that involved.
Dude, they should though too, because like, let's be honest, it's always gonna be Mighty Morphin, right?
Always.
Always. But if you want to talk about like good seasons, like just like top notch seasons, and this is speaking from a guy who hasn't watched everything. So from what I've watched, Mighty Morphin, In Space, SPD, Dino, and probably for me, Zeo.
Yeah.
I'm a sucker for Zeo. You know, Ninja Storm was cool too. I liked. I kind of look like the lead guy a little bit, so it's kind of nice. Um, as a kid, Wild Force. I thought I liked Wild Force because all the Zords. I say
Yeah.
it to you all the time. I just thought it was the coolest thing in the world, dude. They had like so many Zords. Like each one had at least two. Like
Yeah.
man, it was just so fun. But he Jack actually the actor that played him, didn't he come to like a local thing?
Yeah, he did.
The sack?
Yeah, the guy that had that comic thing in Pound Comics, uh, he has his little like every now and then he'll do like a little convention, little mini convention thing and all that. And Jack was there.
Yeah.
And
I'm
then
surprised you didn't go.
I wanted to. I remember I brought it up to you, and you're like, I don't want to go see that.
Well, I don't know who Jack is, but I'm surprised you didn't go by yourself.
Yeah, I know.
You went and saw Tommy by yourself.
I did. I did. But then,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Richard Carry On's always a little busy every now and then, dog. Especially now that I'm married. Man, get me out of the house on a weekend.
this was before you were married.
I had a girlfriend.
Oh wow,
Yeah, dog.
excuses.
Cause she ain't gonna tie me down. Why you
No, but
gonna
she did.
roll?
How you gonna sing that? Like, you just said you tied down. Like,
I'm lying.
yeah,
Yeah. My bad. My bad, bro.
but no. But anyway, before we go, I'm just gonna give my pitch. I'm gonna give my pitch.
You're gonna give the pitch. Okay, so this is to anyone that has anything to do with producing a Power Rangers. Anything.
Or you know what? I'll produce it myself. I'll produce it myself. I'll make
So
this
this is
happen.
to anyone that, because you don't have the money to, I assume, get the guy to do it. But
Hey, I talked. Speaking of the real quick, no, I talked to that dude from SAC that had the thing that Jack was at, and no, I literally from him. So how do you do that? Like, how do you do your stuff? How do you get it published? How do you do this? He told me everything. It's easier than it looks. It
oh, I
honestly
know.
is.
But are you talking? Okay, real quick, Marcus. Tell everybody: is it a comic? Is it a show?
No,
What are we talking about?
this would be a comic. This would be like a
Oh, okay.
this would be a comic graphic novel. Very similar to how they're doing like sort of offshoots now with like the Power Ranger comics, like they've done one like the Soul of the Dragon, Sins of the Future or Time Force, and then there's another one of like of in space like the Psychopath. So this would be kind of in the vein of that. Be called SPD Red Shadow, and what it would be is it's in the future, obviously like the future of SPD. So maybe 20 some years or so have passed. Kruger is killed and they need somebody to go in because it seems like it might be somebody connected to SPD. They don't know. It's this whole like almost who's done it type thing. But they need somebody to come in. Like Jack, of course, shows up to the funeral, pays his respects and everything, sees the old crew and all that, and they talk him into like, hey, we need somebody to go in and like kind of undercover status. And it's Jack going in, and now he ends up becoming Shadow Ranger. Like he'll use his morph, like Kruger's morpher, become Shadow Ranger, but then of course like the suit be a little different. It'll be like instead of the bluish gray tint, it'll be
Had the
red.
red.
It'll be red, hence red shadow. Um, and it's sort of like him going back into this sort of like underground, like criminal element stuff, and it's like a whodunit type thing and all that. So
That's sick. Who's you know what? No, can't ask you it. I don't want to spoil it,
yeah,
but I like
you,
it.
you don't want to know who did it. Yeah, that's part of the thing.
Yeah, I'm like, who? Hey, I'm gonna ask you right here. Hey, man, can you just ruin it and tell everybody who did it?
I mean, I'll put it like this: it's kind of in the world of Rangers, it's something that's like if you paid, if you're like I said, if you're a niche SPD fan, it might be kind of obvious of who
It's
it
Piggy,
is.
man. Piggy did it.
No, but
Piggy did it all along.
piggyback though, he's back. Like
He
he,
did it though.
huh?
Piggy
No, he
did it.
didn't
That's
do
my
it.
prediction. But there's my prediction. Don't you discount my prediction right now.
Okay, I'll let you have that. But he
All
does.
right.
He would play a major role in it though.
Piggy becomes the real Orange Ranger.
Nah, nah. But what's
Oh,
funny
come
though,
on.
I did see somebody like I remember I thought of that idea. I'm like, oh, that would be kind of cool. Like this would be a cool sort of like story thing. I remember seeing somebody online. They even kind of like had something animated too, like a couple panels where like they get like Jack is like visiting or whatever, and like Boom is now like an actual like Orange Ranger. They get attacked and like Jack here, and they throw him Kruger's Morpher. So
Something. You're right though. I hope something pops up. More of them. They were really great.
they were.
We've on our podcast account. We follow all of them.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be cool to have them on, any of them. It'd be really
Yeah.
sick to explain this. All right, so this was SPD. I loved it. I had a great time. I appreciate you telling me to watch it. I
I'm just
liked it
glad
from
I
the
finally
start.
get to tell you once I told you so.
Yeah, well, write it down, dog. It's
I
the
will.
last one.
It's recorded. Hey, this moment lives forever.
It
When
does. It
Marcus
lives
Morgan finally
forever.
got to tell Richard Carey, I told you so.
Okay, well, that's good. I like it. All right. Next one we'll be doing is about Jungle Fury.
Ooh,
We'll start diving into some Jungle Fury. And that's what you can expect after Jungle Fury. We'll probably hit Mystic Force just because, but I'm going to throw this out to you. Why not? For the 25th episode, actually, for 20 and 25th, let's do the anniversary ones.
oh, okay.
Okay? Ahead of time.
Yeah,
Throwing that out right now, speaking it into the universe.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch Megaforce then, or Super Megaforce.
That's fine. Oh, okay.
Ugh.
You got to do it. You got to do what you got to do, right, for the podcast. Since you started, I'll finish. Love it. SPD. Emergency. We out.